welcome to Saturday Crafternoons at Assemble. We're located in the beautiful Garfield neighborhood in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm your host, Samir.
And I'm Leah, and Assemble is a makerspace for art and technology. And this week we have Naeisha as our guest artist.
Hey, Naeisha, how you doing?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
We're all right. Or I'm okay. How are you, Leah?
Pretty good. Hanging in there.
Yeah. Well, so Naeisha, we have a couple questions for you today. Is it okay if we ask them?
Definitely.
Great. Leah, why don't you ask first?
So I feel like I've been at least been in lounging clothes. So I was wondering what kind of article of clothing do you like associate most with?
Definitely sweatpants. Those are my go-tos, no matter what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm wearing sweatpants right now. I know y'all can't see that, but sweatpants are also my go-to. Super comfortable. Don't have to worry about stretching and ripping your pants.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Nope.
Okay, so I have another question for you. It's a little bit of a longer question.
Okay.
If you could quarantine with anyone in the world, whether or not they're dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh man. I'm gonna actually go with one of my best friends. Her name is Jasmine, and because I have not seen her since March, I really miss her. She's just someone that I get along with very well. I'm not big on living with others, but I definitely can live with her. It's all good vibes whenever we are together. So I'm definitely gonna go with my best friend Jasmine.
Oh, man. Big shout out to Jasmine.
That was a really good question, and that was a really good answer. That's to both of you.
Well, thanks for sharing with us, Naeisha. Let's go take a look at what Naeisha has to offer us for our workshop today. Come on, let's go check it out. Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome to Crafternoon. My name is Naeisha McLean, and today we're going to be building community. So when we talk about building a community, we should also take into account the communities that we live in. What is it that you see around you? So in my community, there's a park, there are grocery stores, there's a gas station, there are a lot of houses. And so then when you take into account what you see, what is it that you would like to see within your community? I personally would like to see a community garden, which would be a space where community members can go to get fresh produce and they can help grow that themselves. I would also like to see bike lanes. That could be pretty cool and make things more accessible. There are a lot of hills around this community, so being able to have easy access if you're not in a car would be really, really nice. And so also in terms of when you are building your community, it's important that you ask others what they would like to see in a community that you're envisioning or imagining or that you would want to create. Or even outside of just creating communities, even if you're creating businesses or something within a residential space, it's important to ask others around you. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call some of my friends to ask what they would like to see in the community that we build. Hi friends.
Hey. Hey, Nay.
So I have a question for y'all. I'm creating a community, and so I was wondering, what are things that you would like to see in a community that you live in the future?
Good question. Well, me personally, I would love there to be some green space.
Okay.
Because I need to be one with nature, you know?
I agree with that. I definitely want that green space to be a place where everyone can convene.
Important.
I would love bike lanes or walking paths so I can get places either on a bike or walking and be one, as Jasmine said, with nature.
Are there other things that you would want to see?
A community garden would be nice. I also like the idea of parks. I always really enjoyed the park as a kid and like still as an adult, just being able to like sit there, picnic there. Uh, Movies in the park are pretty cool, as well as just like a general like playground, like where kids can be.
And so thinking of, because you mentioned like community gardens and parks, if would a community garden be like next to a park? Do you think that's important in terms of spacing, where the community garden is within that community?
Yeah, I feel as if it should be in a place where people generally convene, like where sort of there is like a general like community space, like where do neighbors like see themselves, generally speaking, or like a common space, really.
I think in the same vein, the buildings in this like community should be like part of the green space. So like they shouldn't be taking up or taking from the green space. And so maybe making the buildings kind of convene, as Shayna mentioned, around like the community garden or the park or the green space.
Okay.
Also with buildings, I feel like to move away from like the city vibe, there should be a limit to the height of the building. So you really have a sense of, the world outside of your little town kind of thing, kind of space. Yeah.
Yeah. Something that I like that some neighborhoods do is they have like a community fridge for people that want to access food and stuff like that, or who may be food insecure, like not having the resources they necessarily need. And it's a sort of a system where it's like, take what you need, leave what you don't. Mm-hmm. And it's a very communal, nice thing that people have going.
So I'm thinking, is this like with the community fridge? Would this be by community garden?
I think that would make sense. Yeah, if you're putting the stuff that you harvest there, or you could also put like other basic necessities, like probably eggs or milk and stuff like that.
So could we potentially like build upon the community sharing and think about like the free stores if we had like a community center where you can within that space and have a community garden and a community fridge?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you guys. I'm gonna get to crafting and building, and I'll show you guys what I come up with after, or what.
Right.
Hey, good luck.
Good luck. I'm excited to see it. Bye.
Perfect. So after talking to some friends, I have some good ideas about what it is that I want to build when thinking about the community that I'm envisioning or imagining. And so soon we'll get into constructing that beautiful community. I'm taking into account the green space, the bike lanes, the community gardens that they mentioned, as well as some other ideas that I've been able to jot down. So if you have some time before you get into actually building, please take some time to write down what it is that's in your community and what it is that you want to build. It would be important to map things out before you get straight into building. So in order to build our community, I had a flat surface, which is just some cardboard. I have some pipe straws. That would give us some texture in the community garden. There's also scissors, so we can cut the construction paper and the other supplies that we have. We'll be using this construction paper to make our buildings, so make sure you have enough that you're able to make all the buildings that you need. There's also some cloth here that we'll be able to use for our green space, as well if you want to add in some water. So I grab all the different colors that you have. We'll be able to utilize those in whatever way that you would like. I also have my list of things that I want within my community right here. You don't necessarily have to see what's on mine because you don't have to build what's on mine, but it's important that you have your own than the society that you want to create. So we're gonna start by building our very first building. So what you're gonna do is take a sheet of paper right here and you're gonna fold it hot dog style. So it's like this, give it a crease, open it up, and because we're gonna build smaller buildings, we're gonna make sure that we're gonna fold it again, like this, another hot dog style, and then we're gonna fold it on this side hot dog style as well. So you'll have four creases within this paper, and then we're gonna take our scissors right here and cut along this crease. Perfect. So you have this strip of paper right here, and what you're gonna do is, because if you build the building with this piece of paper, it'll be pretty long, so we're gonna cut some of it off. It doesn't have to be exact amount, but I'm folding this half in right here till about halfway, and then I'll cut this end off. So we're gonna cut the shorter end off as well. Perfect. So this is the amount of paper that we have, and we're gonna build a building off of that. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take my pen and I'm gonna draw a line, not halfway through the paper, but a little bit up, and so that'll be able to give us our roof structure. So you can kind of see overhead right here. If you have a ruler, it might be best to use a ruler. I do not, so I'm just gonna freehand it right here. And again, this line doesn't have to be halfway through the sheet of paper. It's going to be a little bit up, but so this is about what I have right here. Perfect. And so once you have this, you're going to take this in. Doesn't have to be a big amount, but a pretty small crease at the end right here. This will give us this will help us be able to fold it into the building once we get the shape that we want. And so then you're gonna fold the rest of the paper to this crease. Don't go over it, just to the crease, and that'll work just fine. Then so you'll have this piece of paper that has a crease on the end, crease in the middle, and then what you're gonna do is fold this part to this middle crease right here. Fold it. So in this half, you have a crease over here and a crease right here, and then you're gonna fold this in right here as well, so you're getting another crease on this end. Great. And then you open it up and you should have 1, 2, 3 creases, and then this fourth right here is just a small piece. And so there you see it's kind of like a square. This will be able to give you the building once we get the top part of the structure. Now, what you're gonna do is you're going to take, you see this box right here, you're gonna take it and you're gonna kind of draw like a triangle at the top where this side meets this side, and I'll show you exactly what it is. All right, like you see this triangle at the top, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut off this, and it'll give you the roof of your structure. So this first one, and then also the third one right here, you're gonna do that again. So it should look like this. See it? The first and third should have this triangle top at the top of the paper, so you can cut that. Looks good? All right. So we're gonna take our scissors and cut along the lines that we made. Make sure you do not cut off this triangle part right here. That'll be for the roof. So this is how it should look after. Perfect. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold it in so it looks just like this. See it? Again, so you can see you're gonna fold it in the way you've creased it, so it should look just like this. All right, so you're gonna take some glue, which I have here, and you're gonna glue this part right here. I'm gonna take a piece of scrap paper that I have and just rub that glue in to make sure it doesn't get all over the place. I'm gonna put that right there. And then you're gonna take the little crease that you made and put it right here on the back of this. So it should fold in right there. Make sure you don't use too much glue like I just did or it'll be really sticky. And it should look like this. So you should have a nice structure for your building. All right. So to make the roof of this structure, I'm going to take another sheet of paper. I'm going to sit the structure on the edge of this piece of paper right here, like so. And you see how it ends right here? I'm going to move over a little bit, about another finger, and I'm put my finger here and draw a line on that side of my finger. And then what I'm going to do next is take just the top part of this structure. If you can see it, it went from laying this way to being slanted down, so I can get the measure of just this triangle part right here, actually right there. And so I'm putting it down like this. Gonna mark it here, move it up, and mark it here again. And so I have put, as you can see, this line and this line. And so what I want to do is draw those out. And as you can see, I've created a box on the sheet of paper that I'm going to cut out. So once we have the yellow piece cut off, then we're going to fold it in half like so, right here. And then we'll place it on top, and you can see we have our roof. But we want to make sure that it stays. So what we're going to do is we're going to put glue on the outer edges right here. Carefully do this so you don't get glue everywhere. Boom. So you can see we have our glue on the outside like that, and then we're going to stick the top part of our roof on top. So it should stay, and we'll let it dry. Boom. So we have one structure for our community. I'm going to build another one. It's going to be the similar style, except the roof will be a bit different. So this one is a little bit easier than the first one. So I'm going to take a strip of paper and go through the same steps that I did for the first building. So the difference with this one, as you can see, I've gone to that same process that I did for the first structure. I'm going to, instead of creating the triangles at the top here, I'm just going to cut down the creases. So I'm going to make a cut to the line that I drew. So you can see it right here, right? And I'm going to do that for every single one. And on this smaller crease right here, I'm actually going to cut off this portion right here. So it should look like so. And so I'm going to fold these down to the line that I have created. Okay. Perfect. So this is what it should look like. And now I'm going to build the building the same way I did this one right here, where I folded in through the creases. All right, so I'm going to glue this in. And you see this top part here, I'm just gonna glue down the top of it to keep the rest of it from coming up. It'll be easy if you put your hand inside so you can keep it dry and push it down so the glue will dry. There you go. So this is the square structure that we have and that we could use for, if you would say, a community center, community garden. You can also put a door in it. So if you want to, we can make a cut here. And we'll fold it out. So that way you have a door in your building. And you can do the same with this structure right here. Also, if you want to fill in this gap here, you can take a piece of scrap paper that we have, measure it out, and put this inside. So if you want a different color roof, right, you can, well, let me glue it down first. Right, then you have a different color roof and it makes a pretty cool building with an interesting top. Right, cool. So that's how you get your buildings, and these are the buildings that we want to build. You can play around with that same type of fold. If you would like to make a bigger building, then you just take a larger strip of paper. So maybe instead of cutting it, putting this paper into fourths, you put it into halves, and go through the same process that we did when we built these other structures, and they'll just come out a bit bigger. So now we're actually going to start, I'm going to start putting in the things on the community that I want to build. And so I'm going to go ahead and start with these houses, and then we'll get in some other spaces as well.
The first thing that I focused on was green space. This was one of the first things that my friends mentioned on the call. And so I thought, where could I put this green space? I thought it would be suiting to put next to the community center. If in the green space I could put the community garden, then next to the community garden would be the community center where the fresh produce could go. Once I put in the green space, I thought, well, what comes next? And then I thought about water. And so I wanted to put a stream going down the green space, in which one side would be the community garden and the other side would just be more trails or green space that people could have access to. And so once I put the body of water, then came, how do we cross that body of water? And so I put in a bridge that people could walk across to get from one side to the next, but still have that ever-flowing body of water going down the middle of that green space. Once I put down the stream, I thought maybe I could put in a larger body of water after that the stream can flow into. So I put that at the end of the board, and then I thought, well, what about if we made it into a beach, or if we put a walkway in front of the water so that people can always walk along the water in between the green space. I thought that could be a pretty cool idea and very relaxing for community members. I also had to put down another cloth on top of the first one. It was a bit thin, and since I was using glue, it was coming through the first cloth, and so I put down the second one. So if you are going to using cloths, try and make sure you use thicker cloths, so that way you won't have glue coming through. As you can see, I put down like a walkway or a beach. I think that's still playing out in my imagination of what that actually looks like. Next to that, I put like railings alongside of the water, so people could have a pathway to walk down, or even just railings so they do not necessarily go into that larger body of water. I started just adding more structures to the building and the community space. I wanted to add in a hospital and also a grocery store because I think those are important for every community spaces to have. I started then playing around with transportation. Well, what does it look like for transportation within the community that I'm building? So I make sure that I had a road. So once I put down the road, then I started thinking about the bike lane. How can we get that incorporated into this community board? I had to figure out which side I wanted to put this down on. To me, it made the most sense to put it on that side where I just placed it, because if it can continue onto a trail that goes right next to that body of water, that way people who are riding bikes or who are walking can use this as a means of going across the community, but also walking into a trail that could lead to a different path. After I put that bike path down, I added one more structure, in which I will talk about in a second.
So as you can see, I have finished building up the community. And so over here you have the green space, and then there's a bridge that I wanted to connect over a body of water that leads to a bigger body of water over here. I put some sand here in case, people want to go to a beach. I enjoy having sand or a walkway that I can look over onto the water. Right here is our community garden and our produce, which will go into the community center. And so my friend mentioned earlier on the call a community fridge. And so within this community center, you will have So as you can see, I have finished building up the community. And so over here you have this green space. There's this body of water that I wanted to put in a bridge connecting. Over here you have the community garden. I envisioned there would be a little park right here that I could continue building upon, and probably will do so after this. Right here I have this community center, and within the community center is the community fridge that my friend was mentioning on the call, as well as a free store. And essentially what a free store is people can bring things that they no longer want or need and drop them off and leave it within the community center, and people will be able to come and pick up things that they want or need, and this would be all for free. Next to the community center, I put a school, just because I think it is important to have schools within communities. And next to the school, I put a library. And so usually when I think of libraries, I think of books, and sometimes they'll have like movie show at the library, but also I want to include access to computer labs, access to things like robotics, and so that's everything that I want to have in this computer lab. So it will not only provide books, but you can also come and learn various forms of knowledge, such as cooking classes. You can learn how to build robotics. You can learn what it means to code, and computer science classes. And so I want all that to be provided within this library, and that's why I put it next to the school. You have, if you can see, I'll turn this. I put this little pine straw here because I want that to be a bus stop. That since the road is right here, and next to the road I have a bike lane. So on this side, next to this body of water, I put a hospital, and I think within hospitals in the society that I want to see in the future is that people can come to this hospital to get free health care, free needs. So if people need to see a doctor, then this could happen for free, and it doesn't have to come out of community members' pockets necessarily. And so next to the hospital, I put a grocery store, because I think those are also important to have within communities if we're talking about access to food and access to household needs. I also envision that this will work hand in hand with our community garden here, where fresh produce can be put into the grocery store, and that we will always be able to have fresh produce at low prices for members of the community and for members outside of the community as well. And so next to that is where I'm going to start the housing part. I only have one small house here in the community, but definitely something that I would like to build upon. So it doesn't mean that there's only one house in the community that I envision, but this is just in terms of shaping and in terms of the size that I had to build upon. That's what was included for this project. Thank you for joining me in this Crafternoon. The great thing about this project is that as you continue to grow, envision, and imagine the society and community that you want to create, you can always build upon the foundation that we have built here today. So if I wanted to add to this, I would just take another flat piece of cardboard, attach it to this, and continue to grow it. Also, if I want to make alterations, I'm able to do that as well. I hope that going forward, your imagination is open and that you are always able to build upon what you imagine. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you had fun.
Thanks so much for joining us this week for Saturday Crafternoon. We would love to see what you've created. To do so, please share by posting on our Facebook page, tagging us on Instagram at AssemblePGH, or email me at my email, leah@assemblepgh.org. And if you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.